just start by asking you that 1 year after the Abraham Accords, if you could please share with us a little bit the first tangible results of this rapprochement, of this normalization of ties with UAE, Bahrain and Morocco.
I think there are a lot of tangible results. First of all, we are living in a new reality in the Middle East. Definitely a reality that will lead us to a region that will join or will have more stability. And it's a very important issue in a region that was known for its instability, and more prosperity. We have signed more than 40 agreements between Israel and the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco. Those agreements are the infrastructure of the peace relations with those countries. And the goal that we see in Israel in that those agreements and in the peace agreements and normalization agreements are that will definitely, that the peace will not be just between the leadership, just between the politicians, but each and every citizen in Israel and the UAE and Bahrain and Morocco will benefit from the peace agreement. And it will affect his life in a positive way. One of the effects that we've seen is very tangible. That's in the last year, over 200,000 Israelis visited the UAE. And this is in a year that was dominated by the COVID crisis. Just imagine how many tourists we'll have from the UAE in Israel and from Israel to the UAE after we'll be over the COVID crisis.
In that regard, I wanted to ask you that if the society has embraced the agreements, I mean, really embraced the agreements, really does understand the necessity for it?
I think that the Israeli society embraced the agreements, the support for the peace agreements in Israel is basically unanimous. We see the benefits. This is part of our long-term goal to reach our peace with all our neighbors. And there is definitely each country has its own rhythm, but we are on this process, the peace process from the 70s. We've signed an agreement with Egypt a peace agreement with Egypt in 1979, and a few years later with Jordan, and it took us over 2 decades to sign the 4 agreements that we signed last year. Though this process is the future of Israel. From day one, looking to reach agreements with all our neighbors and to be part of the Middle East and to help its prosperity and stability. And I think that we are on the right path.
Do you think that we will have some results, maybe a new agreement on that set with the rest of the Abraham Accords in the next months, probably? Because I know there have been some talks with Sudan, for example, but you're not there yet.
I think that we will. I'm not sure I can say that it will be in the next month, but it's definitely going to be in the near future. Hopefully, it will be more than one country. There are a few countries that are looking or they are on the way towards joining the circle of peace. I don't want to mention any of them now because I don't think it's beneficial for the process, but it's definitely what we've done in the last year is a model for other countries. Other leaders are looking at what Israel have, the relationship between Israel and the UAE, and the relationship between Israel and Bahrain, and the relationship between Israel and Morocco, and they understand the benefits of having the ties with Israel and peace with Israel for their own countries and their own citizens. And this is the most important thing, because the peace is not a gift that was given to Israel. The peace is a win-win situation, or may I add, a win-win-win situation, because other countries that are not part of the bilateral relations will also benefit from peace, from the stability that it will bring, from the prosperity that it will achieve in the region. And that's leaders understand that in order to be part, to enjoy the fruits of peace, they'll have to make this step towards the circle of peace, and we will be definitely here to extend our hand to each and every leader that will choose peace over conflict and over war.
I would say that Israel is, I would say, a hub for a series of diplomatic agreements and processes in the region. We have the Abraham Accords, you have the trilaterals with Cyprus and Greece. And I wanted to ask if these diplomatic achievements, if I may use that term, could somehow be combined to offer a better integration of the whole region, all the way from the north of Africa, from East Mediterranean to the Gulf and the broader region in general.
I think that there is no doubt about it that it's part of our long-term goal. One of our experts, economy experts here in the Middle East, compared the bilateral or the cooperation between Israel and the UAE as the East Coast and West Coast in the United States in terms of economy. Israel is the West Coast of the Middle East, and will open the door for European markets. And the trilateral relations that we have with Cyprus and with Greece will definitely be a way towards that. And the UAE is the East Coast of the Middle East, and it will open the markets in Asia, not only to Israel, but to Israel partners in Europe. It will be easier to cooperate with Asia, with having this connection between Israel and the UAE, and there will be different layers or different circles of that will be benefited by the agreements that we signed in the last year, and it will hopefully bring the stability and prosperity from Eastern or Northern Africa to the Middle East. This is our goal. It should be the goal of every leader in the region, because it will make the lives of the future generation easier and more prosperous.
If I ask one last thing, if you believe that the accords could work, could function as a model for the normalization of ties with Israel, with other countries in the region, non-Arab countries, for example, such as Turkey?
I think that the accords are a model, without a doubt. The way we've achieved them, the way that we are building the relations are a model, and other countries are looking at them, not only for the relationship with Israel, but it's a change of paradigm in the region, and it will affect other processes as well. Without mentioning other countries, I do think that the stability in the region will affect not only the Middle East, it will affect the entire region that needs stability. This region has been known for its instability, for its conflicts, and most of the news that we've had from the Middle East are about conflicts. This last year was amazing, also as a spokesperson and as a diplomat, because we've talked about peace. We've talked about achieving peace with our neighbors in the region. That I'm not sure that this was a major topic in the news for years. So it's a good sign, and it's definitely a positive sign toward the future of the Middle East.